Good morning. Are we after 1 hour delay, maybe? Are we ready? 2 more minutes, and then I kindly ask all the panelists to join me on the stage. John? Where's John? Where's John?
Уважаемые гости, мы рады приветствовать вас на...
Dear participants, we are glad to see you in today's session. I would request the participants who need the interpretation to take the headset. The session will be in English, Russian, and Uzbek languages. Thank you.
Dear participants, could you please take your seats? Maybe. Assalamu alaikum, good morning. Welcome and thank you for your patience, first of all, and thank you for your interest joining what I believe is one of the most consequential sessions and conversations of this forum, and just not for women, it's also for the economy of this region and beyond. And I would like to thank especially for the men. Normally when we speak about gender equality, we have only women in the room. So thank you, courageous and bold men joining us today. Uzbekistan has been on a remarkable reform trajectory, as we all know, over the past several years, including new legislation, new commitments, and very real political will at the highest levels to modernize the economy and to open it up. And yet, we look at the impressive economic transformation, there remains significant untapped potential in ensuring that women can only equally participate in and benefit from this progress. Not because women aren't working, we do. And we do work a lot, at home, at work, and in the society, and benefit from this progress. I'm repeating again, not because women are not working, we are, they are, often harder than anyone else, which I will share with you the numbers. However, their economic participation is still shaped by a range of structural factors. Social expectations around caregiving. I need to take care of my daughter, I need to take care of my elderly. I have to prepare the breakfast today before I leave home, thinking of what should we be eating in the evening, while when my husband is just having his cappuccino and leaving the home for work. Unequal responsibility of unpaid care and domestic work, limited access to networks and finance, and practical constraints around time and mobility can all influence the opportunities available to women to start, to sustain, and to grow businesses. Recognizing and addressing these challenges is increasingly part of a broader conversation on how institutions, how policies, and partnerships can create an enabling environment where women-led, women-owned businesses can thrive. Let me start with a number that should sharpen all our attention. If women in Uzbekistan participated in the economy on par with men, I'm repeating again, if women in Uzbekistan participated in the economy on par with men, national income of Uzbekistan would rise by 29%. We cannot turn a blind eye to this loss. Simply matching men's wages would lift over 700,000 people out of poverty. This is not what I am saying, this is what World Bank already proved on the table with numbers. This is not just a gender statistics. This is a macroeconomic opportunity. This is an opportunity for prosperity. This is an opportunity for equality and also peace for the society. We have an extraordinary group of panelists, as you see on the screen, and a man, a very bold one, in between, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 women and me, 7. Yeah, special congratulations to him being so bold to be with us in the panel, who are working at the intersection of investment, policy, and enterprise, people who have been role models in their industries and have been leading the change in practice, but not lip service. I'm looking forward to today's conversation. So, you will be with me and with these amazing people for the moderation for 1.5 hours. But before that, I would like to invite to the floor 2 keynote speakers. And the first one is someone we all know very well, who is the Deputy Prime Minister of Republic of Uzbekistan and who is the chairperson of Family and Women's Committee since 2022. She doesn't have only these roles, she's a very bold mover, who is the one who made a lot of changes for gender equality. Madam Mahkamova, the floor is yours. Please.
Assalamu
Good afternoon, the participants of the forum, the ladies and gentlemen, and leaders of the international financial institution, investors, and representatives of the business community, dear guests at Aminova, and the Dr. Senen Guresh, representative of UNDP, Mumin Ayuzjadi, this Kanak Padlao Aran, and representative of the ADB, Akokofurin, and regional director of business Bagyetirina Galitsina, regional manager of Aqua Company, and Zaifi. Mr. I welcome you at the 5th International Tashkent International Investment Forum, and I greet you with that event. And Tashkent right now, not only in the Central Asia, but in the whole Eurasia becomes investment center, and it attracts attention of the world investors. And under leadership of the distinguished President, Mr. Shavkat Mirziyoyev, we improved the investment climate and touchability of immunity of the private property, and he leads, and we carry out large-scale reforms aimed at the improvement of the investment climate and incomes of the population. And the new Uzbekistan, we pay attention, priority attention to development of the human capital and raise of human dignity. And in our national strategy of Uzbekistan 2030, that gender problems, it's one of priorities, and we work and we have goals to improve the role of women, and that Uzbekistan model is being implemented actively. And the participants, as our leader stated, those women that are engaged in the learning and entrepreneurship, each of that women, they are heroes of our time. And right now, we speak about gender equality and rights of women, and it is not only from the point of view of social politics, but it is a strategic driver of economic development. We need to look like that, and according to World Bank analysis, the reduction of gender differences, the trillion dollars additional value can be gained in result. And in order to launch startups of women, the resources allocated to that are increasing. And as entrepreneurship, when they participate, economic opportunities for women raise, and a number of limitations of the business were removed for women, and through the organization of that businesses, the economic activity of women is raising, and especially in the management of the export-oriented enterprises. The number of the women in such leading positions is increasing year to year, and not women participate in the traditional areas, but they work in the digital technologies, green economy, bank, and agro business, and in digital sphere participation of women is close to 40%, and in the AI projects, thousands of women participate then, and that changes in the women's life is recognized by international organizations, in particular Uzbekistan, in the index of gender in 2025 raised to 52 places up, and now in that has 84th place in that index of movement. And together we have a lot of to do, and we need to organize it together. And I would like to pinpoint your attention to the following proposal. First, in the high-tech digital sphere, thousands of knowledgeable and experienced women come in that area, and we need to unite them and implement efficient projects, and we need to establish a chain of the involvement of the women to the business, and we need to establish a sustainable mechanism together of supporting them in this business. And in the global value chain, we need to involve women to them, and we need to apply electronic commercial grounds for that platforms, and we need to do this together, and that international international financial corporations and representatives of the banks, international organizations, and we are proud to participate, to partner with them, and we are proud about that. And it is important that investors and international institutions that work in Uzbekistan, I propose them to be active in creating that ecosystem, and wish success to our session, to our work. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, Madam Mahkamova. Before I switch to the second keynote speaker, who is a politician, I would like to raise a question to the audience. Please listen to me very carefully. Do you know the percentage of women who are holding parliamentary seats globally? What is the percentage of women globally who are holding parliamentary seats? Globally. Just make a guess. 10? 5? 5? 4? Come on. 18? Anyone else? 28? Who said 28? You Googled? 27 globally. Okay, so it's my pleasure to introduce Ms. Katalin Novak, who is an Hungarian politician and stateswoman, as I mentioned. She's our next keynote speaker, and she is Hungary's first female president and the country's head of state from 2022 to 2024. The floor is yours.
Thank you so much, dear Saran. Dear Deputy Prime Minister, dear guests. Well, as I was introduced, I am a politician, but on the first hand, I'm a mother. I'm a mother of 3 grown-up children. My children are 22, 20, and 18, and that's the thing that I'm the most proud of in my life. So I am a mother, but also a politician. And I was the president of my country in a time where, I don't know if you can imagine that, there was no woman in the Hungarian government. Not a single woman. It was only dominated by men, so only men sitting around the table and taking decisions. We don't have a presidential system, so the president is rather has a representative role, but the government, who was responsible for the executive, was only composed by men. It wasn't easy, I should tell you. But what I would like to talk to you about today is just one issue. It's a barrier, I would say, which sometimes deprives us from the possibility of becoming successful in our careers, and that is family. These are the family tasks. And if I look around here in the room, I would raise you this question, and you don't have to raise your hands, but just respond inside. If you have any duties in your family, if you have any children that you have to take care of, if you have any elderly parents that you have to take care of, if you have any relatives, anybody ill in the family who you have to take care of. So if you have any responsibilities in the family, and if it comes, then what is first? Do you say that I will concentrate on my job, I will be there first, or do you say that I will be by my son, by my daughter, by my father, by my mother, by my sister, by the one who needs me in my family, because that is the place where I am not irreplaceable. So where I am irreplaceable. So what I would like to tell you today is that I think we need choice instead of force. I want women all around the world, also in Pakistan, but also in all parts of the world, to be able to really choose either to become a mother or to give up on becoming a mother. But I would like to live in a world where there is a real freedom of choice. And it means that you don't have to exclude one if you want to do the other. That means that if I want to have children, why should I give up on becoming a successful woman? And if I want to become a successful woman in my career, why should I give up on becoming a mother? Because what we see all around the world, and that's why I'm so thankful for being invited to Uzbekistan, is that more and more young people give up on having children, having family. In Uzbekistan, you still can feel comforted because you have many children. Your population is very young. But here also, I am sure you will see, the more women are eager to participate in the labor market, the more women are eager to deliver in their professional careers, the more they will be forced to give up on having children. And for a very long time, being a mother, I honestly didn't really understand those who said no to childbearing. Now I understand them more and more, because it really is difficult. And nobody says how difficult it is. And why wouldn't we want to be successful in our careers? We study even more than the men. There are more and more women participating at universities. We are really hardworking. We are perseverant. We are talented. We are flexible. We are empathic. We have something to deliver to the world. We want to be there in our jobs. And when we see this confrontation that if we want to have a successful career, we have to give up on childbearing, then we will. Then at the end of the day, we will say that not now, not today, maybe in 5 years, maybe after this project, maybe after I was promoted. So there is always just some postponing, little by little, and then you arrive at a time, at a moment when it's too late. And maybe you will always feel sorry for not meeting this decision before, but then you can go back and you cannot revise your life like that. So what I would encourage you all to see and to do is to support women, to give real freedom of choice for women. And I would like to draw your attention to 3 important steps. 1, I would address the men, not only in the room, but all around, because we need you. We need your support. And this support doesn't mean that, go on, baby, come on, you can do it. That's not enough. It's just not enough to say it by words. It's just not enough to say that you're capable, but you have to be there. You have to be there behind us. You have to be there on our sides, sometimes in front, sometimes behind, sometimes on our sides. And you have to be there when we are not there. You have to be there for us. You have to be able to do everything what we do in our families. So you have to be able to replace us when we are not there, when we concentrate on our professional career. And you also have to see that it's not only the men who are capable, just because there are more men around the table, it's also the women, but they might need more support than the men. So please, I turn to you also, please consider this and imagine how difficult it is when you, just as Saran said at the beginning, when your child wakes up at night and got fever and you have to be there besides, then in the morning, nobody will care about this. You have to go to your workplace and deliver the same way that you had to before and the next day. So first, man, please do help us. The second point is the environment, the government, the local authorities, but also the enterprises. We are at a business forum, so I also turn to the leaders of the enterprises, the companies. You also have to be able to support men and women, young people, young employees, to be brave enough to have families if they want to do so, and not to be afraid of dropping out of the job and not ever being able to come back. So you can create an environment which is family friendly, where you don't have to hide this backpack which you carry all the way and every day when you go to your workplace and say that, oh, I don't have anything at home. No, there are a lot of duties that wait for us at home, but you shouldn't have to hide it. So I think a supportive workplace, a supportive government, a supportive environment at the local authorities can help a lot. And let me just bring you 2 examples from Hungary. I was responsible for our family policies for 8 years in our government before becoming president. We introduced many things. Just to mention 2 examples. For example, we enabled grandparents to be at home with the children. If there were working grandparents in the family, but both parents worked, then actually the grandparent could have a paid leave in order to be able to take care of the grandchild. And also we introduced a tax cut, a tax benefit for those who have children, only women. So those women who are working and who have children in the same time, they don't have to pay any personal income taxes from 4 kids, 3 kids, then it goes down to 2 kids. And the third point I would like to mention, and that's the last one, is that I turn to you women and I say that we should have self-esteem, sometimes more self-esteem than we do have. I'm speaking on my own behalf as well. I know how difficult it is not to be self-critical all the time, but to feel that we really are capable and that we shouldn't fear that if we concentrate on our family life for a while, then we will drop out of all the possibilities afterwards at the workplace. So I think that we need self-esteem. And I'm sure many of you know this example, but when it comes to driving, for instance, and a man seems to be a bad driver, then he thinks that everybody else is a bad driver, not himself. But if a woman has some problems in driving, then she might happen to feel that she is the one who is not able to drive well. So sometimes I think we just have to elevate, have to increase our self-esteem and believe that we are capable of delivering also at home and also in the workplace. And we are also capable of asking for help and accepting help, which is sometimes very difficult. So I think that we need to support each other, women and men, and we have to create an environment when you don't have to choose between becoming a mother or becoming a successful entrepreneur. Thank you so much for your attention.
Thank you so much to Ms. Novak for sharing her story as well as examples from Hungary. Now we are turning to the stage. As you see the list, we will be diving deep into women in enterprise, the economic case for gender inclusive growth. What does it mean, gender inclusive growth? What we need to do, what is going on well or not. And I will start immediately with fantastic Momina. Who is Momina? Momina Aijaziddin is the Regional Industry Director of IFC. She is leading IFC's Financial Institutions Group across the Middle East and Central Asia and has spent decades working on the single biggest structural barrier women entrepreneurs face, access to finance. So, I have a question to you, of course. Are you ready? Okay. My question is, of course, about her role and about IFC's role. So, from IFC's regional experience, what are the most significant barriers preventing women-owned businesses from accessing and also scaling finance in emerging economies? And what approaches, very concrete, have proven most effective in addressing them? And you have only 5 minutes.
Thank you. And thank you to the distinguished minister and ex-president. It was really inspirational, actually, listening to you. And as you were speaking, I realized that not only am I a working professional, a mother of two, we do about $4 or $5 billion in this space, but in a region where there's the largest inequality, but also inequality for women. Globally. I've also served on the board of gender funds, but as you were speaking, I was laughing to myself saying, not only am I all of that, but I'm probably the chief admin officer in my team at work, but also at my team at home. I'm the one who remembers people's birthdays, what's happening in people's love lives, you know, what is going on in the family with children, and there's an invisible cost to this. So what you raised about the invisible cost of reaching women is very true in business. So I'll just talk specifically about finance. And at IFC, we've been thinking about it from the global regulatory level, the policy work of financing women and building the business case for it, but then also through action. So I've served on the board of gender funds, but also our team on the ground, many of whom are in the room, also work strategically with financial institutions to see how we can reach women, how institutions can better capture the data of women clients that we're working with, as well as measure the impact of what we want to do together. So I mean, you've raised some of the issues, but some of these statistics were very compelling for me as well. As a finance professional, I realized that only $19 of every $100 of emerging market portfolios is even lent to women. The global gap is about $5 to $6 trillion. When you look at if women started and scaled businesses the same rate as men, it would increase the global economy by almost $6 trillion. The gap is huge, you know, from billions to trillions. I come from Pakistan, where a man is 5 times more likely to have a bank account than a woman. Right? Why is that? Right? Why are there in Uzbekistan also there are gaps between women accessing finance and men? So they're huge challenges, obviously, Jaran, as you said, right? Like limited credit, digital history, property rights, collateral. We were in discussions yesterday with a housing finance company here. They were like, women don't own houses, the men do, right? Like the family will own the house. So, you know, these are things that come up on a daily basis for us as families, for us as working women, as well as at the macroeconomic level. So as a World Bank group, what we've decided to do is target it very aggressively, that in the next 4 years, we'll try and provide access to capital for 80 million women. And this seems like a drop in the bucket, honestly, compared to you know, what the gap is. But it's really to have a very strategic objective is to elevate human capital so that women are treated the same way or would have access to capital the same way that men would. The second aspect of this, if we could just move the slide to the next slide, Jen. I don't know who's working the slides, but is why it matters for us in, so how would we do this? We invest in FIs to provide capital to women. We have this Banking on Women program where we've put together almost $13 billion in reaching women and women SMEs particularly, so not the homegrown enterprises, but as women scale up and work outside the house. We provide advisory expertise to private sector FIs so that you can see, okay, why, like how will women be reached? So I've done this work even in a place like Afghanistan recently, where we've set up women branches, or we're working with women who are running their businesses from the home. So it's okay, you cannot access capital outside the home, let's bring the capital to you inside the house. And then doing a lot of data and market research for financial institutions and investors. And as a finance professional, even I was surprised that when we were looking at our data globally, women were better credit history, better at lower NPLs, even on the retail or the SME space. And this was surprising to me that this could be a stronger NPL performance for women-led businesses and men. Obviously, in Uzbekistan, if you bring it to the Uzbekistan context, I mean, you've already shared the World Bank data, but 18% of women, have a share of the pie, but the gap is almost $1 billion. So think about all those women working outside the home, outside the farm, in businesses, being paid the same amount. This could really transform the Uzbek economy. So what we're also trying to do is see how do you tap into debt capital markets for women's empowerment. So I'm really proud of this because we've been looking at accessing women economy bonds. So essentially gender bonds to finance women SMEs. So I'm happy to share with you, recently we just did a transaction which was $100 million with Akbank, which is a leading bank in Turkey, on the world's first digital women's economy bond, which would attract capital market investors who know very little about the women's space into mobilizing capital. The reason I'm excited about it is that we expect then to create over $1 billion of funding to SMEs, women-owned SMEs and mortgages, and then have an impact of 80,000 women through a project like this. So that one project could leverage a lot more capital. So what I've been thinking, and our team has been thinking of doing even in the Uzbek context, is how do we reach women more systematically, more through devising capital markets instruments. So it's not just the financing that matters, it's the reach, the impact, and then bringing in or mobilizing private capital from around the world into a space that they wouldn't otherwise go in. So we put a lot of the publications that we do, for this. I mean, the idea is we're learning as we're going, and the World Bank Group is trying to disseminate a lot of this. But in closing, I think what I would urge is that we really need to think across the various silos. So for government officials and policymakers, enabling regulation to allow us to reach women more effectively, growing, becoming investment ready. For the FIs or the banks in the room, really to think about how do we do things beyond going across credit volume. Women need non-capacity building or business services, right? And then finally for Uzbekistan, I think a shared objective that if we bring women more into the economy and expand the pipeline of investable businesses, linking it to why we're here today in the investment forum, if we do that, not because it's a social good to reach women, but because there's a strong business case for it. I hope that in the next 5 years, or when we meet again, we can actually talk about very concrete results for Uzbekistan. So thank you so much for having me, and really delighted to be here.
Katta rahmat. Biz ham maroqli bo'ldi. Men o'ylaymanki bu yerda inson kapitali haqida gapirish juda yaxshi, muhim. Buni rivojlantirishga va kapitalni ham olib kelish kerak. Masalan, Afg'oniston misolini keltirish mumkin. Bu ko'p mamlakatlar uchun qo'llash mumkin. Ya'ni u yerda o'z mamlakatingizga bu yechimlarni kelishish mumkin yoki Turkiyadan olish mumkin. Bu yerda Akbank misoli bor. Bu raqamli ayollar uchun qarzlar dedi. Bu yerda mamlakatlarda, bu Markaziy Osiyo mamlakatlarida ham raqamlashtirish bor, shuni qilish mumkin. Nega qilmaslik kerak? Endi yana bir fantastik ayollarga o'zimni ham tanishtirishim kerak. Hamma meni taniydi deb o'ylagan. Men Markaziy Osiyoda aloqa ofisida ishlayman va bu gender tengligida mana shu ajoyib mamlakatda 3 yildan beri ishlayman. Biroz bilaman. Endi men do'stimga Dr. Kolobkon Lav Arayaga o'taylik. Bu Osiyo taraqqiyot bankining Markaziy Osiyo bo'yicha direktori Dr. Lav Araya. Bu Osiyo bankining O'zbekistondagi faoliyatini oshib boradi va 2024-2028 yillarga strategiya ishlaydilar va savolim bor. Albatta Osiyo taraqqiyot banki portfeli haqida, bu yerda moliya sektori islohot qilinyapti va bu ko'p qismi davlatga tegishli xususiy banklarga ham tegishli. O'z tajribangiz asosida siz qisqa aytdingiz. Endi qanday asosiy omillar bu hukumatga va boshqa tashkilotlarga mana shu ayollar biznesini boshqarishga jalb qilishga nima qiladi? Katta rahmat. Sizga 5 daqiqa beriladi. Katta rahmat va birinchi navbatda assalomu alaykum. Men bu yerda bo'lishdan juda mamnunman va sizlarga hammaga va sizga bosh vazir o'rinbosari, vazir o'rinbosarlari, boshqa mehmonlar va bu yerga savol javob berishdan oldin men O'zbekiston hukumatiga minnatdorlik bildirmoqchiman. Bir qator sheriklikda bajarilgan ishlar va biz O'zbekiston Markaziy banki bilan sheriklikda ishlaymiz va bu yerda shu yerda o'tirgan odamlar bilan ham hamkorlik qildik. Endi men bir necha statistika raqamlarini ko'rsatay. Bu ko'rib turganimiz biz bu yerda mikroqarzlarni bu yerda bu O'zbekistonda YPSini yarmidan ko'proq bo'ladi. Bu 75 ta aloqalarda bajariladi va bir ayol tadbirkorlar 2,1 millionga tashkil qiladi va 2020-yilga qaraganda 7 barobar o'sdi va bir statistika biroz farq qilishi mumkin, chunki xalqaro moliyaviy korporatsiyalar boshqalar ko'rsatadi. Bu taxminan jahondagi o'rta hisobga, o'rta raqamga yaqin ko'rsatadi. Lekin bu yerda agar sheriklarni ko'rsa, ayol tadbirkorlar 50% dan kamroq bo'ladi. Lekin bu yerda biznesga kreditlar olganda 14% kam, 14% ayollar oladi shunaqalarni. Bu yerda savolingizga javob berish uchun mana bu yerda nafaqat moliyadan foydalanish past. Bu olgandan keyin unga erishish uchun agar siz shuni istasangiz, meni fikrim bu yerda ekotizmni ta'kidlagan bo'lardi. Bu yerda chunki har bir bu yerda muhit yaratilishi kerak. Ya'ni shu ishni bajarishga uni ko'rsatib turibman. Bu yerda albatta huquqiy islohotlar bajarilishi kerak va bu yerda aniq strategiya qabul qilingan va bunda ayollar tadbirkorligini rivojlantirishga erishish uchun O'zbekistonda bizda bu kichik va o'rta tadbirkorlik korxonalarini rivojlantirish strategiyasi bor va bunda ham gender komponenti ham bor va bu yerda undan tashqari gender inklyuziv moliyalashtirish tizimi bor. Bu ikkinchi muhim soha ekotizimda. Avval aytganimdek, bu CDU'lar muhim. Agar buni tushunish uchun bizda albatta axborotdan foydalanish imkoniyati bo'lishi kerak va bu yerda siyosat bo'lishi kerak. Ayollarni rag'batlantirish oldinga o'tkazish uchun va bu uchinchi, bu institutsional asos bo'lishi kerak. Bu yerda ma'lumotlar O'zbekistonda keltirilgan va biz milliy gender tenglik strategiyasi bo'yicha harakat rejasini taklif qildik 28-yilgacha bo'lgan davrga. Ana shu birgalikda qo'shilgan va bu yerda ekosistemani tashkil etish uchun moliya institutlarini kuchaytirish kerak va ularda mahsulotlar bo'lishi kerak va bu yerda bu mahsulotlar orqali ayollar biznesga kirib kelishi osonlashishi kerak va biz bu yerda suveren va nosuveren
Asaka Bank and embedded in lending to women with a clear KPI to the target that we have to have women at least 30%. You can see the stat before that right now we stand at 40% according to our data, and we set the bar at least 30% of women borrower. And we also participate in creating new program like we finance code and etc. to support this. And last but not least, with the with this new innovation, AI and so on, we also support using data in venture capital to support women entrepreneurship. And the number of women access to venture capital in the world is very, very low in the world. It's only 2% of venture capital right now goes to women own and led startup. So we have capacity building that would promote that. So I would just conclude to say that we will continue working on this. In fact, about a month ago, we have annual general meeting in Samarkand, and ADB and government have signed agreement to have continued partnership to support women. As for the existing program that ADB has, we will expect that by 2030, we're not counting the new program that will coming, we will support around 140 MSMEs, and so the number is here, and about 90,000 jobs created. And in conclusion, the access to finance is there, but instead of having women participate, we should look into the next step of growth and scale of women participation. And we need to adopt the whole ecosystem, as I mentioned, in institution capacity support from government and from IFI and all the partners to make this happen. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Jam. You also underlined a lot of important elements, but two striking points for me is the sex and gender disaggregated data. Without data, we just have feelings, assumptions, as if. And with data, we are strong in terms of policies, in terms of practices, in terms of realities. And what is very striking for me is also you said access to finance is just the end line. We need to work on the ecosystem, not institutions, enablers, and many more. I think we need another session to go in details, but I have to move forward to Akiko Fuji, who is also another friend of mine from UNDP, United Nations Development Program, a sister agency. And I have a question to her about unpaid care work. Before that, Akiko, who is Akiko? Akiko is leading UNDP in Uzbekistan, who included the most of the comprehensive surveys of women's entrepreneurship in the country recently, right? Covering 4,000 women entrepreneurs and generating some of the most granular data that Jam said data is missing, and now we're coming with data from UNDP. Granular data available on barriers and enablers. As I said, I will ask a question about unpaid care work, but I see some slow motions going there, so I have a question to you. Do you know the global average of unpaid care work compared to men and women? So how many times women are having on their shoulders the care work compared to men globally? 5 times, 2 times, 10 times, 100 times? Not 100 times, no. Can we be realistic? 5 times, no? Are you with me? I asked a question. 2.5 times. 2.5 times. Not hours, times. So what is the number for Uzbekistan? Let's come to Uzbekistan. In Uzbekistan, 5.2 hours. 5.2 hours per day spent on household chores by women compared to 2.1 hours day by men. So it's exactly in line with the global data. Akiko, my question to you is, are you ready? We talk a great deal about closing the gender finance gap and the skills gap for women entrepreneurs. But UNDP's recent research in Uzbekistan points to a constraint that sits underneath both unpaid care work. How should that finding change the way governments and development actors design support programs, and what is UNDP doing on that? You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you so much, colleagues. Madam Deputy Prime Minister and Madam Novak, of course, ambassadors, Deputy Minister. I'm really pleased to be here, surrounded by many familiar faces. And I have been actually very impressed by the discussions which are taking place today. I think the first impression that I have, and I must mention, is personally, I'm very impressed because so many nationalities, so many different cultures coming together. And most of us, of course, women, but of course, including men. And some of the commonalities are somehow looking sort of like universal issues. And we have been talking about, of course, gender equality in many sectors and many different spheres, including the private sector, including, private life. And 21st century is still, of course, across different cultures. And I must say, this is my 8th country that I have been serving in UNDP for over 20 years, 28 years. And we are still tackling this issue of gender equality in many of the common challenges today. So it's really impressive that we are coming together across different countries, different cultures, and tackling the issue of gender equality in entrepreneurship today, specifically. So as UNDP, as Jaren has just introduced, we have been tackling this issue together with the national government, civil society, and many of the partners here in different approaches, but looking at the social impacts as well as the economic impacts, because they are inseparable. As Jaren has just mentioned, we are looking at, of course, women's economic empowerment, but that really has to start with the legislation and the legal framework, which empowers women to be able to have the different choices of work, for example. In 2023, UNDP was very happy, for example, to be able to assist the government to remove the ban of women from driving heavy vehicles. And that was part of our assistance together with the government to remove that ban. So that is just one example of how women can be empowered by legislative changes, and the legal framework is extremely important. And to that extent, I really would like to congratulate the government of Uzbekistan for rising up to the rank of 48th in the World Bank's Women, Business and Law. So that means, I think, legislative framework is coming up very nicely, improved significantly. However, I think we need to also come to the point of how to empower women to practically implement these rights which have been guaranteed under the law. The first point I would like to mention is the informality. So there were some figures already quoted by my previous speakers. For example, 2.1 million women entrepreneurs, and that has been 7 times more than 2020. But many of these women are still working in the informal sector. And that means, if I go back to the previous point that I made, the legislative protection may not be actually working for those ladies who are working in the informal sector. Under the protection of labor law and the social care that Jaren has specifically asked about taking care of the people who need care at home, elderly and child care. So these legal rights may not be reaching these ladies who are working in the informal sector, and this is one area UNDP has been also working very closely with the government. The second thing is straight about this care economy. and child care and the care for elderlies in the household. So UNDP has recently conducted a survey, and some key numbers have been quoted, but it is important to note that women in this country, in Uzbekistan specifically, spend more than 5 hours, 5.2, 5.6 hours per day for care work, and that is more than, of course, twice as a male colleagues here spend. So that already puts the question on us, the kind of investment, the time investment and the energy investment that women here would like to make on themselves for skill development, career development, and simply for leisure and rest, so that you can develop your own career, may not be necessarily as equal as male colleagues here. Let me turn these numbers into the economic term, or labor participation term. So in our study also, we discovered that establishing one new public kindergarten, preschool, made the impact of increase of as many as 23 women coming into the labor market, which means there is a correlation of the state investment and the state support in the area of care economy and the care work can actually make the actual impact of women empowerment, women participation in the economy in this country. So we just wanted to mention these, key numbers to make the point that the social programs in this country is not necessarily only standing alone as a social policy and a social program, but it actually makes sense when it comes to the economic impact in this country. I think the third point I would like to mention is the persistent gender norms. I think as the UN system, and I think for many of our colleagues here, still realize the importance of breaking the gender norms, not only in this country, but as I said, across all the different cultures in the world. No country in the world, across the world, has actually achieved the 50-50 in every sector of economy, every sector of public institutions. No country ever. Meaning that there is this gender norm and imposed on women by themselves, but also by men and by society, by institution, is actually affecting the choice of women having the career in what type of business. In UNDP's program, together with Hamro institution here, Hamro company, we are having a women's entrepreneurship support program, which, for example, gives a very success case by providing one woman who has gone into the business of woodcraft, carpentry, which seems to be traditionally occupied by male counterparts in this country. And I think across different countries, carpentry, woodwork seems to be physical and therefore has been dominated by male, but this lady who has been provided the support under the program of Women Entrepreneurship Support Program and the UNDP and HAMRO have developed her career in the woodwork and now employs expanded the enterprise, hiring as many as 15 workers, and now has a dream of establishing a training institution by herself. So this is one example of how diversifying and going beyond the gender norm and going into the different sectors of businesses can actually expand the business and the career opportunities for women and also contribution to the economy. One more thing, and then I will finish, is digital economy. and how the STEM industry, the STEM education for women is important. We are looking at the AI and the digital era, and particularly important for Uzbekistan, which is double landlocked country, where of course the commodity and the trade commodity becomes a little bit more expensive than other countries. And therefore, it does really make sense to develop the knowledge industry in this country. And there have been a lot of progress and the political commitment of, for example, 5 million AI specialists, 1 million coders. And the question is, how many of them are going to be women? And we need to be working on it now, because we are not going to develop the AI coders and the digital specialists in 1 year. So we need to be looking at the STEM education and providing the opportunities for both men and women and boys and girls. So let me finish here, and I hope I answered your question. Thank you.
Thank you, Akiko. Thank you for underlining the facts about informality, which is a very common issue. I'm here. Social protection, care economy, and also the figures that you shared, to have one public preschool means labor force participation of 23 women. One public preschool, accessible, free of charge public preschool, enables 23 women to be part of the labor market. I moved to Umida Pirmuhamedova. I hope I spelled it out correct. She's the advisor to chairman of Customs Committee of Uzbekistan. Who is Umida? What is she doing? She sits at the intersection of trade policy and government reform, a vantage point that is particularly important when we think about women's access to international markets, export pathways, and the regulatory friction that disproportionately affect smaller women-led businesses. So I have also a question for you. We talk a lot about financing and training as the barriers for women entrepreneurs, right? But regulatory and trade environments are just as critical, especially for women who want to scale beyond domestic markets. From your position, what reforms are either underway or needed to make cross-border trade more accessible for women? 5 minutes.
First of all, for Zulaikha Bakhdinova, guests, dear participants, you are right, indeed. Such open dialogues is very important with the women entrepreneurs. In these dialogues, we can collect recommendations and advices. One of the important ideas of this event is, of course, finance is important. Financial literacy of women is also important, I think. In this regard, in custom bodies also, structural works are conducted. With your permission, I would like to explain in figures. And the basic objective of today's event is to inform about the economic importance of the funding of women and discussion of the gender inclusive development lately in entrepreneurial development and liberalization of external trade, improvement of investment environment, and creating good conditions for investments are in the priority agenda of government. We consider each of your proposal and idea important, and for introducing them into practice, we are ready to consider all necessary measures. I'd like to inform you quickly about our activity. For the last 5 years, external trade has increased 70%, and automobiles and railway transport through customs has increased twice, and traffic has also increased by 4 times. And in the border, by transport, from 7,000 to 15,000 transport number has increased, and pedestrians also doubled, and and registering of custom declaration has increased from 2,500 to 4,000. Such a high growth tendency improves the simplification of the existing procedures. For the last 5 years, head of state and government have introduced 151 regulations, and they were all accepted. Digitalization and AI technologies introduction, also 37 information systems, 41 interactive services, and 12 mobile apps, and 9 custom services of foreign countries, and 34 ministries and agencies with foreign companies. We arranged exchange of information. Registration in the customs procedures using in the same format, registration of customs center registration has been opened, and in order to accelerate this process, in 10 posts, construction and equipment has been introduced. For example, in the border with Kazakhstan, Navoy and Rishkurprik posts are now meeting modern requirements, have been reconstructed. More than 1,500 vehicles and more than 50,000 passengers are being moving from border every day. And in order to, as a result of improvement of infrastructure for one automobile transport, for its passage of the post has reduced by time has been reduced by 80%, and reduced this time reduced twice. In last year, 95% in export declarations have been simplified. Thus, without human interface, registration has reached 19%. More than 30,000 entrepreneurs are saving times and costs. At the same time, in order to ensure budget sustainability, annual receipts have reached 80 trillion sum. Head of state is also taking into account high potential of women in order to improve external economic activity. He mentioned that today's conditions are not sufficient, and that there are still problems which needs to be resolved. And he gave instruction to agencies like that, and always giving instructions how to improve activities. Indeed, we should reach turnover of export-import operations by 100%. For that, we need to solve your problems in export and import operations. As our respected president mentioned, jobs created in our country and services provided and their exported products is a result of your activities and a result of your continuous work. Based on that, these positive activities will be continued, and I think this meeting should also be impetus for making beneficial of further activities of business entrepreneurs. Please let us know if you have any requests from Customs Committee. Dear participants of the event, in customs bodies, gender equality issues also, structural works are underway. Currently, number of women have increased from 8 to 12% employees, women employees. At the same time, by UNDP organized project, gender equality and international program is also underway, and Customs Committee not only recognized as a body for protecting gender equality, but first Customs Committee became a gender champion among all agencies of Uzbekistan. At the same time, as a resolution of the government, women entrepreneurs to improve their financial literacy, Customs Institute arranged short-term free courses for business entrepreneurs. At the moment, 593 business entrepreneurs are trained in online and offline mode, and they're getting certificates. And as a result of the year, more than 1,000 business entrepreneurs will be trained on capacity building courses. Trainings will be free of charge. And all these conducted activities on digitalization of the sector, simplification of custom rules, it all is done to create better conditions for business entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs. And before the meeting, I have met with several business women, learned their ideas, and I would like to convey this to others. Yesterday, always our chairperson of the Customs Committee makes open dialogue. If you visit our official site, always you can see advertisements, and customs officers are always ready to support women entrepreneurs, and we are ready for the open dialogue. Thank you for your attention.
Shared a lot of numbers with us, especially the increase of women employees in the Customs Committee from 8% to 12% recently is showing a steady growth and simplification of the procedures and many others. So I am moving to Dilfuza Nurmatova, and she's the General Director of the Women's Entrepreneurship Support Company Hamroh. I think we already heard from Akiko about Hamroh. And who is Dilfuza? Dilfuza is actually bringing the practitioner's perspective, working directly with women entrepreneurs on the ground, understanding what support actually looks like in practice versus theoretical programs assumed to look like. So Hamroh sits at the interface between institutional programming and real business needs. So my question to Dilfuza is, you work with women entrepreneurs every day, not in data, but in practice. What are the main challenges women entrepreneurs face today, and what practical solutions or support mechanisms currently exist in Hamroh to help them build sustainable and growing businesses? I really appreciate if you keep it 5 minutes. Thank you.
Assalamu
Good day, dear colleagues, dear guests, dear Zulekha Fakhruddinova, Mr. Abab, dear guests. Very glad to see you all today. Thank you for your question. Indeed, I learned while working with women entrepreneurs, most challenges for them is not lack of idea or desire, but how to successfully turn this idea to for successful business, and barriers which they face. And difficulties related with financing are the basic obstacles for women, especially in the initial steps of starting business. Women face different difficulties. That's a lack of collateral, and credit history is limited, and similar difficulties. Third biggest challenge is finding the market, entering the market. In my experience, I saw that many women, if they offer quality products and services, but finding client and development of the cooperation, using markets and entering new markets, possibilities are limited. Therefore, they face difficulties. Practical experience demonstrates that the best approach is comprehensive support of women. There are financial instruments, but organizing trainings, mentorship programs, networking systems, and if we combine them with reaching markets, it will give good results. As we all know, supporting of women's entrepreneurs is one of the priority areas of government. And our respected president is also paying a lot of attention to women entrepreneurs, and wider opportunities are created for them. And our company is also a platform to combine these opportunities. Our main objective is to create a sustainable and strong environment and assist them, and in each step of business development to support them. Our company, with the presidential initiative, has been created, and it started its business in the beginning of 2025. Company Hamrach is the company who supports women and solving systematic problems, training, mentorship, through that to unfold their opportunities, and free consulting servicing, the only company created for women. Our main three priority areas are helping women in financing their business, and we introduced a financing system. We have a cooperation contract with several commercial banks of Uzbekistan. Currently, we work with 13 commercial banks, and through these commercial banks, through single approach, we allocate credits for women. Our credits for 7 years, 3 years grace period, and 10.3 billion sum. Up to $1 million are allocated. And the basic thing, allocated credits 70% is guaranteed by our company. Now that is very good opportunity for women. Our credits are submitted through Hamrach Business Portal without human interface. Other than credits, company is also providing grants. Currently, on 3 areas we allocate grants: green projects, IT projects, and mentor entrepreneur who attracted 5 women. Hamrach, in its activity to expand the activity of businesswomen, we allocated $10 million worth grant projects. In assisting women in capacity building, we have established educational programs. Our trusted partner, UNDP, with them for business entrepreneurs, special business accelerator programs are introduced, and we use them for teaching women. Also, we have chance to use international experiences. Besides, in the beginning of 2026, we launched the Hamrach business model. It helps women to structure business processes and business growth strategy development. And within the program, we help women to develop electronic platforms, and we have strategic cooperation with marketplaces. In marketplace, there is a special department. Business entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs can sell their products to this marketplace. In January, we visited Singapore, and we participated in the summit We Connect. Within that, we participated. We Connect International. We established a cooperation program with We Connect International, and this cooperation will help us to organize corporative and educational programs and to help them in reaching new markets. Supporting of business entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs, to support them, we have individual cooperation programs. We allocate mentors, and by their problems, we provide consulting, free consulting services. All costs are covered by company. During a short period, program HAMCOR have reached significant achievements, and our program covered more than 18,000 women, and more than 6,000 women enterprise projects have been financed. More than 2,000 women have successfully completed offline courses, more than 10,000 online courses. 400 women entrepreneurs have been allocated by mentors, and more than 500 women have individual partners, and continuously business consulting services are provided for them. The basic, we are the company who supports each other and created a strong business entrepreneurs, women entrepreneurs organization. Thank you for your attention.
In such a short period of time, what you have succeeded, because I do remember the establishment of Hamroh just a few years ago, and the numbers she shared, more than 18,000 women reached, and out of which 6,000 women benefited from the grants, is already a miracle. But I think that the success is coming from helping them to find out the idea, or letting the idea to grow with networking, with mentoring and coaching, not just one-step approach, but along the way. So thank you for your patience. We move to our next speaker, Ekaterina Galitsina. She's a director, head of Eastern Europe, Central Asia and South Caucasus, KfW IPEX Bank GmbH. It's a German bank. Who is she and why is she here with us? Is actually Ekaterina is representing the private finance and export credit bank perspective. KfW IPEX Bank is Germany's expert and project finance institution, operating in a region where mobilizing private capital alongside development finance is very central to scaling impact. So we would like to hear from her, from you, your bank's financing very complex, very capital-intensive projects, big scale across various sectors of the economy: mining, metallurgy, energy, infrastructure, transport, and also banking. So how often do you see women leaders around you in these sectors, especially in mining, metallurgy, and energy, infrastructure? And what is needed to motivate and support women leaders in these important fields? Why these fields are male-dominated? Are there any country-specific characteristics that you did observe from your bird's eye view? And please tell us about your experience in Uzbekistan. And you have to answer all these questions in 5 minutes.
Thank you so much. I'm so delighted to be here today. It's really honor to have all these panelists and all the great women here. So as already mentioned, I'm Ekaterina Golitsyn, and it's very important, as Kathleen has already said, who I am. It's always a question who I am. Am I director? Am I responsible for sector? I'm a mother of 3 sons as well. I'm a co-founder of the network Women Leadership Europe-Uzbekistan Partners of AGMK, and of course I'm a banker. I'm responsible for the region Eastern Europe, Central Asia and South Caucasus, and I do business development and origination acquisition. And thank you for such questions. This is very interesting to understand the sectors where we see normally women. Coming back to our bank, because it's already mentioned, we are working in very CAPEX-intensive sectors. We are coming from the German state, belonging to KfW banking group, where we have another parts of banking group which are active in promotional, concessional financing, like KfW Development Bank, which is very, very active here in the country, and our KfW-DG, which is very active here in private sector as well. And of course, Uzbekistan has a great opportunity now to have here all the DFIs, which support very strongly, among other topics, this topic women and gender balanced topics. For us, we are commercial bank, but we see, of course, a lot of women here in Uzbekistan in CAPEX-intensive sectors, like where we are working, industry and commerce, metals and mining, mobility sector, energy sector, infrastructure. And coming back to the question here, how often do we see women leaders in these sectors? Of course, as for metals and mining, this sector is among the least gender-balanced industries. We see here worldwide, globally, that women are often under 20-25% of the workforce, and much fewer in senior technical and operational roles. Energy sector, especially oil, gas, power, and renewables, the sector is better here than mining, but still male-dominated, especially in upstream oil and gas, grid operations, and heavy engineering. But we see, of course, very positive developments in renewables and utilities. We see here that female leadership is slowly increasing. Infrastructure and transport, women are more visible in planning, regulation, legal, and finance. And the sector where we see a lot of women nowadays, this is the sector banking. Here we see that many countries have women as bank CEOs, CFOs, chief risk officers, and central bank governors. But still, boards and executive committees are often majority male, especially in investment and corporate banking. So the next question is, what kind of patterns do we have, or what can we consider here? The more heavy industrial and field-based engineering intensive the segment, the fewer women in leadership. And other words, the more finance regulation policy services oriented the segment, the higher the proportion of women in leadership. The next question of you was what is needed to motivate and support women leaders in these fields. This is my personal view on that. I think it's very important to build and protect the talent pipeline, and I think we have already discussed today this question that we should see early exposure and career awareness. The topic that you mentioned, STEM and finance education, coming from school education and high school, of course, then technical and field-based opportunities for women. The next one would be create workplaces where women can actually stay and advance. Very important here is non-discrimination and safety at the factories and fields, inclusive work design, and of course work-life balance and care responsibilities. This topic we have already discussed today as well. Then, of course, very important for me personally is the topic promote women into decision-making roles. Here we need more transparent promotion criteria, more programs for leadership development, sponsorship, not just mentoring, because normally we are speaking about mentoring or coaching, but it's very important that our mentors can really support us and can really promote us further. And of course, the very important topic is accountability, that we would have more data about all this, what was already raised today. And the next one is strengthen the ecosystem around companies. Once again, regulation and policy, professional and women's network, cultural change and narratives. So, speaking about Uzbekistan, we see here, of course, a lot of reforms, very intensive, rapid economic and structural reforms, very intensive project, modernization in all the sectors. And the sectors which I'm representing today, mining and metallurgical sector, energy transition, infrastructure and transport corridors, banking sector, here we see that women leadership is an active issue. We know that many women are well educated due to their technical, including technical fields, due to this Soviet legacy and modern development of high school and dual education. We see a lot of international high school possibilities here. However, they are still underrepresented in mining engineering, heavy mechanical engineering, and field-based energy role compared with, for example, medicine, teaching, economics, and law. What do we see here as key barriers in the context here in Uzbekistan? Very often this societal expectation, then geographical and mobility constraints, because the country is, of course, very big, organizational culture in the countries, and very important, limited visibility of role models. And today we see here great role models, really, here during our panel session, and I think that we need more and more such role models and such examples. What could help in Uzbekistan more? Targeted scholarships and internships, corporate gender action plans in major state-owned enterprises, leadership and sponsorship programs, and support for mobility and family balance. And of course, data and transparency. What we did as partners to bigger SOE, last year we built network of women leaders, Uzbekistan Europe partners of Al Malik Metallurgical and Mining Company, AGMK in this case, and founders are Mrs. Firuza Kamidova, who is now First Deputy Minister of Mining Industry and Geological Science, and me, Katerina Golitsina. And we have very strong support from the CEO of AGMK, Mr. Abdullah Khursanov, and personal blessing, I would say, and support of Premier Minister of Uzbekistan, Mr. Abdullah Aripov. During last year, we organized 7 conferences, meetings, and dialogues between women leaders of Europe and Uzbekistan. We established International Leadership Academy initiative Connecting Talents. And our aim is to connect more women in leadership roles and to build this network to be role models for young generation. Thank you so much. Here are my contact details, and I invite all the women to our network. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So role models, role models, role models, right? We need to showcase that we can. So we born equal, what makes us so stigmatized that we cannot? So I think this is one of the highlights, because I will combine it with John's presentation, because he is managing one of the energy leads in Uzbekistan. And probably he will explain the transformative approach they are having in the company. So Dr. John Zaidi is our least and the only, but not the last, and the only male speaker. So, and thank you for your patience and being with us. He's the country general manager of Aqua in Uzbekistan. And who is John? Who is Dr. Zaidi? An international energy executive with more than 20 years of experience across Europe, CIS, and Latin America. He oversees one of the country's largest foreign investment portfolios here in Uzbekistan and is leading major renewable energy and green hydrogen initiatives, all male-dominated areas, as you see, alongside advancing Uzbekistan's clean energy transition. He is a strong advocate for talent development and inclusive leadership in energy sector. So John, I have a question to you as usual. So energy sector is, as we mentioned, is historically and structurally one of the most male dominated fields, with long project cycles and remote sites traditionally made it very difficult for women to enter, and even they enter to stay, right? So what has helped shift that culture within Aqua's own operations here in Uzbekistan, and what needs to happen for the sector as a whole to become a real driver of women's economic participation in the country, specifically in energy sector? John, you have 6 minutes.
Oh, thank you. I think Dr. Kent just did a absolutely wonderful social experiment with me to keep waiting, how women have been waiting to get the opportunity, and I feel it. So thank you very much. This is a great opportunity. It's amazing to be around such accomplished women, and we are talking about it all the time, that this shouldn't be the case. We shouldn't be saying that the first woman, first president, first prime minister. I think it should be a norm, yes, and I think it has been obviously work in progress. We all are a work in progress. Aqua also is work in progress. So it's nothing that what we are trying to do and achieve here is very much unique, but maybe in a session with a lot more passion, maybe a lot more thoughtfulness. We are trying to at least push the agenda. Energy sector across the world, less than 16% female leadership. It goes even worse when it comes to the top level. On the boards, we suffer ourselves across everywhere. And I think that is, as you rightly said, it's a stereotype which has built around our industry, and it's taking time to unlearn that. The part of this discussion, just to recap on maybe some of the thoughts which I learned today, about the invisible care. And I think the part around where I felt that anything which is invisible, then the policy doesn't come, because we just don't see that. We just get numb about it. We get a kind of like it's there, but we don't care, and then it becomes a social norm. And once it becomes a social norm, then any change becomes a more of a social thing rather than an economic thing. And nobody thinks about how economics is dependent on that social change, or how it will shape the new social changes can shape the economy going forward. In Uzbekistan, Aqua is the largest investor in the energy sector. We are very humble. We are very, very proud to be here. Great opportunity for us to do expand the green energy under the leadership of the president and his vision of 2030, and with the support from across which we have. What I understand here is this, that the energy sector, which has always been a male-dominated, it's not about now, and green energy is not about changing the fuel. I think it's more about understanding how the technology is changing. And based on that, I'm very positive. I'm very, very positive that now with the digitalization, now with the energy, the green energy, which is much more safer, much more can be operated, can be maintained in a different way. I think that whole old power plants where everything was physically done, people had to go around, take all that mechanical and others, I think that's changing. Now it's digital, now it's data, now it's about creativity, now it's about intelligence, now it's not just the artificial but the human intelligence, and I think that's where the women can really look into these new careers more closely. and that this shift has to come, and I think it's coming. Because now the whole technology is pushing us to look all the professions very differently, and I think that's where the real shift in the approaches of the women will come, and then the companies have to change. So let me be very, I think this is one of the things which we always do, is to look through the window for the opportunities, but look into the mirror to correct yourself. And as a company, as Aqua, and being in the taking a responsibility as a country general manager, I think I need to be very, very honest about things that how we are trying to push the agenda. We collaborated with UN Women. We are now very lucky to have a very good collaboration MOU we have signed with Hamro to really make things happen, and I think connecting the dots. But as a thought leader, we launched a proper study to understand the hidden, implicit barriers why women are not part of the energy sector. We are going to reveal those findings in July sometime. I think the last version is going on. But the trends are very, very simple. One is that we are still haven't stopped taking energy sector, women especially, as a profession seriously. And the companies haven't start taking it seriously, that yes, women can be part of it. And I think that's where we are trying to fine-tune ourselves. We started with Shireen College in Sirdaria region, where we started investing from the very 5 years now, 4.5 years. And now we are seeing our first female technicians, first female interns who are now working in our power plants, in our solar power plants, in our green wind farms, sitting in our control rooms trying to do an analysis, and some of the leaders who are sitting here, they are encouraged to see the discipline, see the creativity, see the support we do. But now the energy sector is changing. Biodiversity is becoming a bigger thing. ENS is becoming a bigger thing. Environment is becoming a bigger thing. All those areas, engineering is becoming a bigger thing. The data analysis, which I said. So I think the shift will come very soon within the industry, where we will start looking for female talent, which has been kind of marginalized. We use this very common, approach of saying, oh, we need to have the best person in the job. And I kind of like always struggle with that. Every time I push this agenda, I say, no, go hire a female, and I get this push. No, we need to hire the best person. And I think that's merit is important, but then you're actually marginalizing also because of your own biases. There's a certain amount of resistance in many men when they're hiring, especially when they're hiring. The simple statistic is, if you have 3 extra CVs of a female, the chances of female getting selected goes up. But if it's not, the funnel is so small, then yes, it becomes a very easy argument. So it's not to putting the burden back to the women and saying, no, you have to show up and all. No, it's not like that. But it's something which I really need your help. And I think I talked to most of our team also, that we have to introduce good talent, try to bring them out and say, no, you go and apply for it. At least try. And then you will see the talent will come in. There are a lot of areas of biases which we talk within our company, but there are some things which we do. I'm very proud of our team that came up with a policy which we initiated last year or early last year, to any female colleague who's going on a maternity leave can start working at their own pleasure. At least 50% of the time, we will provide them computers, everything, so they can work from home, whatever the flexible timing they need. But unfortunately, not a single woman applied for that, and I was like shocked about it. We tried our best, didn't work. Then one day I asked about our our PNC. Please provide me the data. How many of our male colleagues expecting to become parents? I'm a father of 2 proud sons, and I know how to change the nappies and diapers also. So it's not like I'm coming from the experience. And to help them. And then the government made a big change of giving the parental leaves now. And none of the fathers use that. And we don't even have the data. So there's a lot more areas where we as Aqua feel that contribution will come in. There's a lot more goes beyond, like supply chain. So we have to look into how you can actually promote women procurement, where the female procurement the policies have to support that. We have to go in standards and requirements, job descriptions, which we have certain amount of implicit words are already there, the words which provide a certain amount of, that it has to be a masculine thing there, so when you read it, psychologically you get into a trap of hiring people. Or it's a night shift, so okay, we have a problem. It's you have to go and do the service in the field, and you cannot send a female alone. So there are lots of things which the energy sector has been suffering with all these. But as Aqua, we are trying to push the envelope. We are having, first thing which we did was to start the discourse. Unless you have the talk, we started this women forum. Janona, our lead person in that, has been doing it for the last 4 years. And we bring people to talk about it. And then we try to take it to the next level where this discourse can at least help within the company as well as outside the company. So small things which as an energy company, we are trying to do. We have come up with the medical insurance, which usually most companies just cover their spouses. We have extended it to the parents also. So now the care part, at least some burden we are taking, so that you don't have to. You have a good insurance. You can allow your parents to go and take care of themselves while you have the opportunity to take really put. We are providing leadership courses. We are providing funding. We started self-funding. We provide some funding for students, and people can choose what they want to do. But I think the most important part where I really boggle all the time is the how. When women are given a chance and they are on the table, what are they echo or are they the voice? And I think that's where I struggle as a leader. And I think most people struggle most on the top, where you have given the chance, but how do you support more? How do you bring that ideas? How do you help them take that confidence? Society builds confidence. Right now, 50%, no energy transformation or any transformation in any society can happen if 50% of your workforce or the talent is not available to us. So for us, right now, what we are trying to do is to increase the funnel. So we have recently went across Uzbekistan. We have hunted talented females. We couldn't get more than 10, 15 whose family allowed, so they can go and study in Sirdarya and Shireen College. It's not that there was lack of it, it's just the stereotypes and all that. So now we are trying to change and fine-tune our strategy to bring, instead of finance that year, to bring our education to those areas and see how we can develop, especially in Karkal, Pakistan, which is a very important area, and most of our products are there. I also want to just thank the DFIs. I want to thank them that they have actually made us a better version, asking the questions, pushing us to do things which are beyond through ENS, areas, but also the government of Uzbekistan, who has been very stringent, has been asking and holding us accountable on different areas where we have to push and become a better company, a better investor, a better human even as a company, to think about those areas where we can. We started, I think, a lot of people know about it. I personally started a simple, asked one question of having a female driver. And I just, it was 3 years ago. Now that same driver has an employer. We have more than 6, 7, women driver who are there. I remember exactly that was first time I was flying in at 2 a.m. and her husband showed up. Yes, it was 3 years ago, 2.5 years ago, and now today it's not a problem. And so we are making a small changes and shifts. I know it's 6 minutes are up, and yes, thank you. But I am very positive that technology change is going to open a lot of good profession for women, and we will be there to support.
I think an applause also for all of us, right? Not only for John, but we did it. We did it, and almost on time. And I do remember our conversation with John, I think 2 years ago. She was telling me, Jeran, where are the women? We want them in our boards. We want them to be on our sides. I said, John, behavioral change takes time. You know it better than me. So we started with the company culture, and then they said, we want to give it more to the community. That's why Surhandriya was one of the targets. Now we're speaking about real case examples, which still not yet enough. We have a lot to do. But we have a final event which we will witness together. Something that we talk comes into action now in front of our eyes. What I personally take from this conversations and talks and statistics and numbers and aspirations is that we can change starting from individually, but when it comes to gender equality, we need men more than women, and we need boys more than girls. And thank you for all men here being with us today as well. So Aqua Power and Hamro Women's Entrepreneurship Support Company, which we listened both of them, marked an important commitment 2 hours ago here in this building that reflects the very spirit of this panel. Correct? That inclusive growth is not just an aspiration, but a strategy, and the energy sector, long perceived as a space with limited opportunities for women, but is the case, can and should become a real engine of their economic participation. So I would like to invite Dr. Zaidi and Ms. Dilfuza Nurmatova to the stage for the official exchange of the Memorandum of Understanding, which we will be witnessing, and they will touch and change the life of a lot of women together, hopefully, and then we will have a group photo. And then we are concluding this session. Thank you.